Welcome to another episode of Give and Go, SI.com's critically acclaimed web series where we debate three of the biggest storylines in the NBA. In today's episode, we discuss who will be on the Cavaliers next season, whether the Hawks or Warriors are more likely to make the conference finals, and key veteran additions during the stretch run. Joining me from Portland, Adam Schefter's body double, Ben Golliver. All right, topic number one. More likely to be on a different team next year, David Blatt or Kevin Love?
I think they're both likely to stay in Cleveland, and if I had to pick one, I guess I'd pick David Blatt, but at this point, I'm not sure why we would be having that conversation about his job security. Ever since they've got Timofey Mozgov, it's totally transformed their defense. It's really shored up their front line as well. I think they had some serious depth issues after Verjao went down, and now LeBron's back to playing like a superhero. Kyrie's fitting in pretty well. I think Kevin Love is still working his way into his fit, but I think it's going to end up working out okay, and they've really been killing some teams. And so I think the odds are both of those guys are going to be back next season unless they totally flame out in the postseason.
Yeah, and that's the only caveat. If they do bow out and say the first round, I can see the Cavs making a coaching change. I just don't see Kevin Love electing to go somewhere else, if for no other reason than it is a massive amount of money he would be leaving on the table. And unless the situation is so toxic, like it was with Dwight Howard in Los Angeles between Dwight and Kobe Bryant, guys of that caliber just don't leave that much money out there. Carmelo Anthony had an opportunity to go to Chicago, a much better situation, a chance to win a championship. He went back to New York, the height of dysfunction, because they had more money to offer him over a long-term deal. I think Kevin Love is as close to a lock to come back as Cleveland as there can be, barring, again, something completely unforeseen. And David Blatt, as long as this team shows continued progress, let's say they get to the conference finals next year and they win 55, 60 games at the end of this season, then I think that ensures that David Blatt will be back as well.
Yeah, my thing with David Blatt was it didn't seem like he was connecting with LeBron James early in the season the way LeBron was playing, and maybe some of that was injury related. Maybe LeBron was just pacing himself, but he wasn't able to get the best out of LeBron. But what we've seen over the last month is a totally different LeBron James, back to how we know he's capable of playing, back to his peak level where you have to start throwing him into the MVP conversation. And as long as LeBron's playing like that, I think Blatt's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, LeBron put that tweet out there about Kevin Love, buy in, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit there. That's the same thing could be said for LeBron back in November, December, when David Blatt was trying to get him to run the system. He wanted him to run, and LeBron wasn't exactly buying in all the way. All right, topic number two. We had a great matchup last Friday, which was inexplicably not seen on national TV, the Hawks and the Warriors. Let me ask you about these two teams. More likely to make the conference finals, Atlanta or Golden State?
I think the only team that can stop Atlanta from making the conference finals is Atlanta itself. I mean, only if they get injuries to somebody like Teague or Millsap or Horford. Otherwise, I don't think the Eastern Conference talent pool is deep enough to keep them out. I mean, they only have to win 2 series. Are you really worried they're going to slip up against Brooklyn or Miami or a team like that? Or even in the second round, if it comes down to a team like Washington that certainly can't match up offensively with them, or a team like Toronto, whose defense is just not at an elite level and is really going to struggle to slow the Hawks down. To me, I think the Eastern Conference Finals is shaping up most likely to be, probably at this point, Cleveland and Atlanta, depending on how the matchups work out. So to me, Atlanta is the answer there. At the same time, I think Golden State's got an excellent chance to make the conference finals as well. Their home court advantage is unbelievable. I think it's the best in the NBA right now, just in terms of the atmosphere they can create. Seeing it firsthand at Oracle Arena was unbelievable earlier this month. I mean, they could really turn up the volume and get younger teams a little shook. So to me, I think both teams have a very good shot. I would just take Atlanta because of the easier competition in the East.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the first round is just going to be a walkover for the Hawks, no matter who they play, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, whoever winds up with that 8th spot. In that competition down the bottom of the East. I worry a little bit about the second round because what if it winds up being Cleveland or Chicago in that second round series? Both those two teams have guys with playoff experience. Chicago obviously has tons of playoff experience on their roster. I think that would be a little more challenging than it looks like right now. But overall, I think Atlanta has a far better chance than Golden State, which could lose in the first round. I mean, frankly, you're completely right about that home court advantage for the Warriors. That is one of, if not the best home court in all of basketball. But what if Oklahoma City gets into the playoffs? And what if they're playing really well as they wind up at the number 8 overall seed? An upset from Oklahoma City beating Golden State is not necessarily a huge upset. Oklahoma City has proven they can win on the road. They've got some of the best players in basketball, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. If that winds up being a first-round series. And if Golden State is in any way, shape, or form banged up, and I'm talking specifically about Andrew Bogut, who always seems to have these sort of bumps and bruises that cost him in the second half of seasons, if that's the case, Golden State, forget the conference finals. That's a team that could conceivably lose in that first round. All right, topic number 3. We're entering the trade season, the trade deadline coming up in a few weeks. You have the buyout deadline coming out a little bit after that. But a couple of guys are out there right now potentially available to be signed by any teams before then. I'm talking about Ray Allen, who's been a free agent since the start of the year, and Jermaine ONeal, who I thought was retired, is apparently an option for some teams at one of the big man spots. Which one of those guys has the chance to be more impactful, Ray Allen or Jermaine ONeal?
Can't you just see these two guys sitting at a bar called the Fountain of Youth and just kind of waiting and biding their time so they can get in for the stretch run? To me, I think it could be Jermaine ONeal. Probably not the popular pick, just given what Ray Allen has done in postseasons recently. But, front court depth is a huge issue for a lot of teams that want to be taken seriously, especially Dallas. I mean, that's one team that's been linked to him. As soon as they traded away Brandon Wright, I mean, they just have a huge hole in their front line. It's an issue also for the Clippers right now. I mean, they clearly have some depth issues now that Blake Griffin's down. You got to play guys like Hidu and Big Baby Davis. These guys are getting minutes now in your front court. I mean, you can't tell me Jermaine couldn't help them too. And even Golden State, where, Jermaine ONeal was earlier, the Bogut insurance policy, he would make sense there as well. And you go right down the list of other teams that could use an extra big man. So to me, I'd probably say Jermaine ONeal, but, who knows how much he really has left. And ultimately, he's going to be playing a fairly small role unless something truly disastrous does happen. I'm not sure either one of these guys is a huge impact player heading into the 2015 playoffs.
I don't know, because I think Ray Allen can have a really good impact, mostly because I think Ray Allen is in game shape right now. I mean, this guy takes meticulous care of his body, and you can't tell me that he's just decided to let himself go in the 6 months he's been quasi-retired and sitting on the sidelines. I think he's going to be able to step into a rotation tomorrow, whether it's Cleveland, Atlanta, San Antonio, some other contender that wants to scoop him up and he's willing to go to. I think Ray Allen can be part of a 7-8 man rotation in the playoffs and be an impact player on one of those teams. I'm just not so sure I can say that about Jermaine ONeal. I mean, this is a guy with a lot of miles on his tires. Played a long time in the NBA after coming out of high school and playing for Portland back in the day.
Well, here's my question then for you, Chris. Who makes the most sense for Ray Allen? Who would you like to see him catch on with? Is it Cleveland, where he can just be that designated shooter? Is it Atlanta, where he can just shoot all day long? I mean, we have a lot of teams that really are looking for the three ball. Where is it that you want to see him go?
I think Cleveland's a good option, but the best option for my money is Oklahoma City. And I know it's more of a risk for Ray Allen because they're not in the playoff picture right now, but how desperate, Ben, are they for that perimeter shooter that can create open lanes for Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook to operate? They just don't have that guy on the roster. Right now, they'd probably kill to get Thabo Sefolosha back, given how many problems they're having shooting the ball on the perimeter. I think that's the team that has the most glaring need for Ray Allen at the moment.
I hear you. Yeah, the Anthony Morrow thing has sort of worked out for them, but not like swimmingly.
No.
And Dion Waiters, I mean, we know he really can't space the court. I think he is really an expert at standing in the corner and waving his arms and not getting the ball. I mean, that's sort of what he does. So to me, yeah, it would be an interesting fit there.
Great stuff, Ben. Is that a fake bookshelf behind you? Is that still fake?
No, they're real books. Yeah,
books.
I've read every single one of them. I'll prepare a report for you the next time we talk.
I appreciate that. We'll see you in New York next week. Thanks, Ben.
All right, Chris.
That's it for Give and Go. Catch us this week and every week right here on SI.com.